Hello everyone, it's Raoul here, and it's Sam here, and today we've got something a little bit different for you. For once we're actually sat down, not stood up like normal, so it makes a nice little change. But anyway, so today what we're going to do is we're going to expand on our very first episode of 1 Minute Martial Arts, where we spoke about our first rule of self-defense, which was about not using self-defense.
Sounds very counterproductive when you say it, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but it does have a ring of truth to it.
Yeah.
Now, for me, my philosophy has always been, well, no one likes getting hurt, so
I don't know, some people like it.
I don't like getting hurt. I know a lot of people don't like getting hurt, so in my eyes, trying to avoid that sort of situation where you would possibly get yourself hurt is a success, rather than sort of getting yourself stuck in a situation that might not necessarily be in your control.
Yeah, you don't want to sort of go into the situation thinking that you know exactly how it's going to happen, because it's definitely not. There's too many variables involved. You don't know if what you're going to use is going to work in any way whatsoever. You could know everything, every self-defense in the world, and you could just get dropped.
Yeah, exactly. You never know how it's going to pan out. So that's why, for us, the main reason for trying to avoid using self-defense is to try and control as many of those variables as possible.
Yeah.
If you have two people involved in something, it's more complicated than just having you in control.
Yeah, it's just like trying to avoid there having to be any variables whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. So
henceforth avoiding having to get into that situation.
Yeah. So I mean, from that sort of standpoint, it's more about avoiding or finding ways to avoid having to use self-defense, rather than almost bringing it onto yourself and that sort of thing. I find a lot of people, they get a bit overconfident as well when it comes to that kind of thing.
It is easy though. Like, it's happened. I've had it before. I've thought, oh yeah, if anyone starts on me now, I can do it. And then now I'm thinking, I hope no one does, because one, I don't want to get injured, and I don't want to seriously injure someone else because I could get in trouble.
Yeah.
You don't want that at the end of the day.
A lot of people, they do forget about that aspect of things.
It depends where you are in the country.
That's exactly what we said.
In America, you could get away with a lot more brutal self-defense than you can here. In England, it's
exactly.
Very
well, I mean, you're not allowed to carry anything to protect yourself.
Well,
I mean,
it's very subjective. The whole idea of reasonable force. It depends who you've got. Judging you that day.
Exactly. It depends who's in the courtroom with you, doesn't it? Really, and who's on the panel. But so for us, trying to teach our students to avoid self-defense is a much easier way of them staying safe than getting themselves involved in sort of self-defense. However, that doesn't mean to say that they'll never need to use self-defense. There might be an occasion where all of a sudden things are out of control and they do need to use it. So we do teach self-defense for that reason, but not only that, it's to also teach self-defense so that they're aware of the potential risks that are involved, and also what kind of injuries they could sustain from it.
Well, when you do training, when you get hurt in certain ways, you just got to look at that and how you got injured and think, how many times worse will that be in the actual situation, which is why it's difficult here, because we try and teach it as realistically as possible, but no matter how hard you try, you cannot simulate the real thing.
No, I mean,
you can only get so accurate.
You can get close to it. I mean, I don't know about you, but whenever we've been sparring and it's been quite heavy contact, whenever we've been sort of doing self-defenses with knives and things, not real ones, but the rubber practice knives.
Well, that's what I mean, obviously.
But I mean, I still get those feelings. I still get, sort of that survival instinct.
Oh,
and that panic, that adrenaline. There's all sorts of things going on all at once, which do simulate that sort of environment as much as possible, which is one of my favourite parts about our training. But like you said, it's not the real thing.
It's like you mentioned the whole state of mind, like the adrenaline stuff. You don't know how you're going to feel in that situation. While you're training in a club, you know that you're surrounded by friends and you're training with each other. No one in the club is set out to deliberately injure you as much as they can. But when you're on the street, this person is trying to hurt you. Your mindset will be completely different, and a lot of people forget that, and so when they go into shock, they don't realise, and then they stop thinking. So all of a sudden, everything they've learned and they've just done will just go out the window. They'll forget it completely.
Yeah,
they freeze up.
And that's another reason why trying to teach self-defenses that are complicated, they might work. They might work, but they take years and years and years of practice.
And they might not. Yeah, this thing. Like,
so teaching simpler techniques is a far more effective way, because that's like you said, everything will go straight out the window as soon as you're put in that situation. Because we see a lot of sparring, like all the time. As soon as we get a new person come in, or even someone that's had experience in martial arts before, but haven't really had a lot of experience in sort of kickboxing sparring, they go in thinking, yes, I'll do well, but then when you step back and actually watch what they do, all the stuff that they've learned, all the stuff that they have practiced, they don't do.
Well, it's like, it happens a lot in sparring anyway. Like, I get it, you probably get it. Like, even though we've done it for a while now, and we consider ourselves relatively adept at it, I guess, but if you get hit, even like we sometimes catch each other, and even when that happens, you think, oh God, what do I do now? Because you're rocked, you're in shock just from a shot, and it's like, oh, what do I do now? Because
for like a split second, it's almost like you lose control of what it is you're doing. You completely forget your battle plan and everything else like that.
A split second is all it takes.
Yeah.
Because in these situations, in these realistic self-defense scenarios, you've got, what would we say, like 3 to 5 seconds to properly defuse it before you're seriously injured.
Well, I mean, when it comes to weapons defenses, the longer it goes on, the more risk you are of being stabbed, the more risk you are of getting hit with a baton or something like that. Generally, when it comes to sort of the hand-to-hand combat, you have got a little bit longer because, of course, your body's, they're a little bit tougher when it comes to being hit with hands and things like that. That doesn't mean to say that you won't get hurt.
Forever doing, exactly. There have been plenty of instances where people have just had the life kicked out of them.
Precisely. Generally, 30 seconds, I would say, is the time you should give yourself to end that situation.
As well, like, you got to make sure that when you're like, try not to be alone when it's happening. Like, this goes back to avoiding the situation. You're a lot less likely to get confronted or attacked if you're with a group of other people, or even if you are on your own. Get people's attention. Try not to, like, if you're walking down the other way, you see someone walking down the other end, there's no point in risking it and walking down there if there's like 3 of them and just 1 of you, because you don't know who they are. And some people might think it's silly just to turn around, walk out and take the long way home or whatever, but it's that against a risk that could end very badly.
Is it worth your life?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, if you do see a threat coming towards you, then why go towards it? I mean, I like to think that a lot of people's natural instinct is to sort of walk away from it and try and avoid it. Yeah. That's what I like to think. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. I suppose it depends on your personality.
It goes back to the sort of overconfidence, doesn't it? Like, of people that have done boxing or whatever fights,
or for some reason they enjoy fighting. Now, I like fighting. Don't get me wrong. I find it fun. And it's enjoyable, and it's great for training. It's great for conditioning, great for training. In a controlled environment, where it's safe, like Sam said, we've got your friends around you, people that aren't going to deliberately hurt you.
You're fighting each other to better each other, not to actually inflict pain upon one another. That is part of it, that happens, but you never do it deliberately. It's never, I'm going to spar this person so I can hurt them.
Well, I mean, even if someone does get hurt, they don't carry on going, do they? They're like, okay, you got hurt, let's stop, let's recover a little bit, regroup, and then go again.
If they need a minute, they can take a minute, but if they don't need a minute, they can carry on. That's the difference between a controlled environment and just being out on the street when someone is trying to hurt you as much as they can.
Yeah. So, I mean, moving on from that, you sort of touched a little bit upon it with sort of avoiding potential threats coming towards you. Now, that all comes down to you as a person and what you judge as a threat.
Yeah.
Now, for me, it depends if you're with somebody, it depends if you're on your own, it depends if it's night, depends if it's day, depends if it's a narrow alleyway, depends if it's in a busy estate, in a city centre. So there are lots of variables to avoiding self-defense. But at least you have that control. You're able to make the decision as to where you want to go at any given time. Now, when it comes to sort of analysing threats, a lot of people, especially nowadays with mobile phones and sort of iPods, MP3 players, where people sort of listen to music, they do get sort of involved in themselves rather than being aware of their surroundings.
They're not very perceptive, are they?
Precisely. Yeah. So really you should have some sort of threat level system that goes on in your mind. So for example, a green light is everything's okay, no need to worry. However, if you see something that could potentially be a threat, then it goes to amber. And then that's when you have to start thinking about sort of maybe evacuation strategies, or just simply going a different direction or avoiding whatever that threat could be. And then red is basically the point where you've got to make a decision, you've got to do something, whether that is getting involved in self-defense or more preferably getting away from it as quickly as possible. Now, if you sort of use that system, I know it's like complicated to think about it, but to be honest, I think...
Well, you can do it instinctually. Like
precisely,
For instance, if you're walking down somewhere and it's dark and you see someone who's 10 foot tall and you're on your own and no one's around, you are going to think, oh God, that's a big guy. Yeah. How do I know that he's not going to do anything? Because, well, they don't have to be a big person. Like, because the way, like, my sort of, alert system is try not to underestimate anyone around you, because it could be someone who is 4 feet tall, but you don't know what they're capable of. You don't know what they can do. Yeah. And if you underestimate them, they can catch you completely off guard. I'm not saying be uptight and ready all times, but just sort of have some sensible level of awareness. Like, I'm not saying don't use your headphones, whatever, just make sure you just sort of not completely prepared, but just a little bit prepared for the worst, because if you're completely oblivious, I'll say ignorance is bliss. It's not when you've been started.
And that's another thing as well. A lot of people, they think to themselves, it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Right. That is also overconfidence in the wrong sort of sense, because that means you're completely unaware of what's going on. Now, a lot of people don't, they're not aggressive. They don't want to hurt you or anything like that. But it could happen. There is a chance of it happening, and that's why you train. That's why you have to be aware for that one instance where you might need to use that training in order to get away or defend yourself.
It's the whole thing. If there is a chance of danger, why take the risk? It was like with sorry, I got to say this, Frankie Boyle on Mock the Week, when he's talking about the bloody Hadron Collider. It was like they're going to build something that has like a 0.000 chance of
creating a black hole.
It's like, why would you do that? It's like, if there's a slight chance, don't do it, because it could end the universe. It's like if my son came up to me and said, "Can I have a train set?" and I said to him, "Does it have a slight chance of creating a black hole that destroy the universe?" I'd say, "How about a bike?" And it's that. It's why. What's the point in taking the chance when you can just avoid it altogether? Like, it's just, obviously, this isn't, don't take a chance on anything, but just when it's your own personal well-being, just, you've got to really, once you've thought about it enough, it's kind of like a sort of subconscious thing. It's like second nature, you don't have to think about it too much, but...
But a lot of people, they do get caught up on this idea of, say for example, if someone's trying to mug you, do you protect your belongings or do you protect yourself? A lot of people, they get caught up on that.
They're very prideful, don't they? People don't appear it, but it is a very sort of instinctual thing. It's like, no, I must protect myself and what is mine.
But
don't get me wrong, that's not bad.
But the thing is, the thing that makes most sense, and I seriously hope that everyone agrees with me, or the majority of people agree with me, is that your life is worth a lot more than your belongings. Things like phones, things like credit cards, they can be cancelled. Your phone can be insured.
Like you hear it a lot, don't you? Like, oh, you feel, that can be replaced, this and that and the other and whatever. But you can, people hear it, and it is a cheesy thing to hear, but it is such a true statement. You can't.
I'd say, I'm sure I've said it before to everyone here, that if someone got themselves caught up in something like that, and a mugging, and they tried to defend themselves, rather than actually just, sort of giving their stuff away and then that be the end of it. If they came, if their parents or something came up to me and said, "Oh, my son has been put in hospital because he tried to defend himself when he could have avoided it," or something like that, I would be mortified.
You feel responsible, don't you? Because I feel like it was my duty to train that person because they haven't been able to look after. That's the thing as well. What really annoys me about a bunch of other self-defense sort of places, like I'm gonna talk a bunch of crap now, about some other training places, but I don't care. it's annoying because, like I say, these places that just give away black belts or say, yeah, you can do that, you know how to defend yourself after a week. You don't. It takes you years and years and years to like engrave that instinct into your head about how it all works. Like, for instance, in sparring, just in fighting in general, staying on the front foot. Yeah. How many, like, no matter who you are,
you have to
no one is crazy.
like
I've never known anyone crazy enough just to be able to be on the front foot straight off the bat, unless they are fighting a toddler.
Well,
that's when you've got the confidence for it.
Or unless
they're that much bigger.
Yeah, I mean, or unless they're just natural. You know, they naturally just do it because that's their instinct. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have the instinct of going backwards onto the back foot.
Even when you go onto the back foot, you don't realise you've done it until the coach tells you, and it gets brought up to you, and then it takes ages to train getting used to being on the front foot. And even then, you sometimes
you still will
because you know the back foot, so you fall back on it if the front foot technique fails you because. You've got nothing else to go back to, and it's...
No, I mean, that's not to say you can't ever go on your back foot.
No, yeah,
now, of course, there are strategies and there are tactics around, you know, and we see a lot of world-class fighters that, you know, use their back foot a lot. Yeah. Normally it's because they have a reach advantage or because they have a speed advantage or something like that. But generally, especially when it comes to self-defense, being on your front foot will protect you a lot more than going on your back foot.
Yeah.
I mean, the main reason is because when someone is punching, the most force actually comes from the last few inches of extending your arm. So if you get hit here, you know, the impact is going to be a hell of a lot less than that.
And plus, because you're moving to the impact, it'll help cancel out a lot of it as well, as opposed to, you know, the most, like I said, the most power is at the full extent of the attack.
Yeah.
The same way a baseball bat's power is at the very end of the bat. Like,
precisely, yeah. That's
the momentum and whatever. That's when it reaches its peak.
Yeah.
So if you can stop that in its tracks, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's got nothing to do with the whole self-defense and avoid having to use it and avoid the situation, but it does. You don't just. This hasn't been like a random tangent. It is all about.
Well, no, I mean that's the annoying thing as well. Actually, is that you can try and be as specific as possible, and in our 1 minute martial arts videos, we try to be.
Yeah.
But how many times have we discussed after the filming sessions, like where we could have gone, or or what we could have said?
Yeah.
Yeah, because all these things are all interlinked.
Well, there's just too much to cover, and this. I don't care who you are. There's no way you can become a great fighter and self-defense expert in any short amount of time. It takes years. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, it's unheard of. I've never known. Yeah. Like Bruce Lee didn't get to where he was by just walking in to a little dojo one day and being a pro. I'm not saying people aren't naturally good at it. You get people that are naturally. You get people that are naturally tough. They can take a hit, and they're naturally brave people. But then you also get people that aren't. They need to be trained into it. Like I know I certainly wasn't. I was scared of everything when I was kid. Like, even the shock of getting hit, like when I sparring with you, like for the first time, and you kicked me in the stomach, and it was light as hell. It was like that. I dropped and I was crying. I was like, "This is horrible. This really hurts." And then, like about 3 minutes after, I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you?" That didn't hurt at all.
Well, it's that shock factor, and that's precisely why we train the way we train, is so that people can get used to that. Because that's what it is. It is shock. Whether or not you are hurt, it doesn't matter. Your body feels the shock first before it feels any pain.
It's like you're just sort of evolving to get used to it, isn't it? It's like you're adapting to it as opposed to just
that's what conditioning is.
Well, yeah.
Some
people can naturally take a hit. Some people can't. That's all it is.
I mean, this is a question that has just popped into my head for both of us. But you touched on sort of, no one is going to be like a martial arts expert. No one's going to sort of be a self-defense expert in a short space of time. Yeah. Well, that leads me on to this question, why are we doing 1 minute martial arts? What's it about? Like, why if no one can learn things in a short period of time, then why are we doing it?
Well, for us, it's just to make people aware, isn't it, of these topics. So then, I mean, you could say, what's the point of this video? This is so we can expand on that and give them the proper talk. We can talk about as much as we want, but I guarantee you have a better job of just going somewhere and training it. Because you can watch all the fight compilation videos as much as you want. You won't be able to do that. Because fighting it's chess. Every you can say about every sport. Every sport can be like its own version of chess because there's so many things you have to think about, and it's such a technical thing because there's so many different ways to do it. Yeah. In any sport.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, 1 minute martial arts is not about making experts after watching a 1 minute video. No way. That's not what training is. But as Sam said, making people aware of something is the initial stage of getting them thinking. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should train self-defense. Maybe I should learn this. I should learn that, just in case that happens. It's just to get people thinking. That's all it is. It's just to get people thinking, and just to give people a sort of idea as to where they should be going and what direction they should be going in. Now, because you touched on it as well about sort of the way how lots of different clubs do their martial arts training and things like that, and their self-defense training. And I've been there. I've done that sort of old-fashioned one-step sparring training.
So have I, and we can draw the comparison. Don't get me wrong. When it looks flashy and it looks cool, but at the end of the day, what is more likely to save you, flashy and cool or practical?
And that's like what I mean about making people aware is that even if you do train at a club and you do martial arts and self-defense and what have you, then hopefully we can give you some sort of idea as to where your training should be directing you. If it's not, then you're not training. You're not doing the right thing.
This is the problem as well. Though a lot of people start training in martial arts and MMA and whatever and how to fight because they don't do it because they want to protect themselves. They do it because I want to be able to beat someone up. That is the worst way to go into it because that is how you're going to get yourself hurt and get yourself into these dodgy situations. Because, like I said earlier, you don't know who you're fighting. You shouldn't underestimate them because you don't know them. They might know nothing, but then they might know everything. You might have been doing it for 5 years. They might have been doing it for 20 years.
Well, and actually, not only that, but say, for example, if you do walk around being overly confident and bragging about your abilities, then it's going to invite challenge.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And another thing is, if you're modest about your training and your talents,
just don't talk about it.
I mean, if you're modest about it, then anyone that might try and challenge you might underestimate you. Yeah, which could give you that sort of surprise advantage.
If the situation can be avoided. Because a lot of this is a very big school scenario. The amount of times when I was at school, they're like, "Oh, Sam, you do karate, let's fight." Then I'm like,
And I got it at school as well.
Why?
You're a black belt.
What's the point? I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
We could if you wanted, but I don't really want to.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. You should be proud of any achievements that you make, but bragging about it, personally for me is.
No, there's nothing wrong with a brag, but when it's all you talk about, and you talk about how you can beat anyone up, then there's
a limit. There's a limit to that.
Because some people get really arrogant about it, and most of those people can't back it up.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, Conor McGregor, I think.
Well,
be as arrogant as you want if you're Conor McGregor, because he's...
I mean, he hasn't, sort of proven himself wrong yet.
No, well, exactly.
But we have seen it in MMA before.
Well, yeah.
People, Ronda Rousey, for example, a great champion, won five title fights or something like that within 1 minute. Yeah. And now look, she lost twice within 1 year, convincingly.
Yeah.
So we see it in the professional game all the time. Yeah. Why wouldn't it happen in sort of real life?
Yeah.
That sort of scenario.
In like UFC, Bellator, or whatever, while they're training for their fights, they watch their opponent's previous fights. So they're actually prepping. They're not underestimating, they're estimating what their opponent. They're looking at what their opponent did. I'd probably get into a lot more fights if I got 6 months prep and I could look at every fight the person I'll be fighting's been in. I'd be like, okay, then I know this person. But because I don't, unfortunately we don't have all the luxury of doing that. But these fighters, they get to prep like that. And, they can still lose. On the street, you don't get to prep. It happens, and it happens so fast, and you need to be ready for that. And that's an experience that not many people get or have. So when it happens, again, they go into shock, and they're like, oh, what do I do? What's going on? I don't... Yeah. How does this go down? Yeah. And, worst case scenario, you give them the phone, your wallet, or whatever. Sometimes people just want to fight for the sake of beating people up.
Those kinds of people you really want to avoid, for sure.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. This goes back to... If you see anyone that might be a threat, just go the other way. Do whatever you can to get out of it, because
Yeah.
I guarantee you there's more than one way for you to get back on.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, just keep in mind that self-defense is about keeping you safe. It's not about inviting trouble. It's not about bragging rights. It's got nothing to do with that. It's about keeping you safe.
Yeah.
Now,
It's about being prepared if that situation
if it
comes up,
happens.
and if it does, you
Yeah.
should be doing your best to avoid it anyway.
Yeah. And it's about preparing yourself how to avoid it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I mean, at least that's our sort of
Yeah.
philosophy. Now, shall we sort of finish up with that sort of point?
Yeah.
You know, as like a conclusion almost. You know, so if your training isn't keeping you safe, then there's no point in you doing that training. Now, seriously ask yourself that question. I do it every week with my students. If I teach my students something, I want them to, you know, to know that it is for a purpose. If it's for a purpose such as, oh, it looks good,
Yeah.
or it's cool, there's a time and place for that.
Yeah.
You know, like we like to do displays, we
Well,
like
yeah,
to do
yeah.
shows, we like to do that kind of stuff. But when it comes to serious training, when it comes to, you know, sort of self-defense in particular and sparring, then training properly, training critically,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know, critically, I always, you know, self-reflection, I'm always thinking about, am I training the right way? Am I training my students in the right way? Have I said the right thing? And there have been occasions before where I've actually gone back on something and I said, look guys,
Well,
I said this, but actually now that I think about it,
Yeah.
you know, I think we should go along this route instead.
Well, this
You
the
know?
thing as well. Like,
It's a constant evolution, it's constant development.
like at our club, we're lucky that you question yourself so much, because this is the problem.
Too much maybe.
Well, this is the thing. A lot of people that teach it, they get into their head that this is exactly how you do it because this is exactly how I was taught.
This is the way. There's no other way.
The problem is, they say this to the pupil, and the pupil they're too afraid to question it.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, you should question everything.
Yeah.
If something doesn't sit, if you've been taught something, it doesn't sit right, it doesn't feel right with you, question it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, absolutely.
everyone has their own way of doing it. You know, the teacher might think he's developed the perfect way. Great, that might be his perfect way of doing it.
It might just work for him.
Yeah.
You know, it might not work for
You
everybody.
know.
So.
But that's going into different body types and everything.
Well, yeah, that's a completely different
Yeah,
subject.
yeah, that's it. But you should just question. If it doesn't feel right, question it. Like,
Yeah.
don't be
absolutely.
afraid to question it, because at the end of the day, if you question it, you're teaching yourself and your teacher,
Yeah.
and they'll probably appreciate it. And if they don't, then you've got a bad teacher.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like students that ask me quite challenging questions about the things I teach, because it does make me, you know, sort of look back and think, you know, is that really the right way to do
is
something?
there a better way I can do it?
Or is there a better way? And
If you question it and your teacher starts to think, can I teach better? Odds are they're going to start teaching better. And
well, yeah, exactly.
if that happens, then that will yield much better results.
Well, and that's another thing. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you teach martial arts or whether you're a teacher at school, you are not going to know everything.
No.
Right? So if you have a student that is enthusiastic enough to ask you a question, this is going towards, you know, any teachers that could be watching this video. If you do have a student that asks you a question about something that challenges your own knowledge, they are probably a really good student.
Yeah.
All right?
Listen to it.
Yeah.
Even if
listen
it is,
to it.
even if it is like a silly little like question, just take it into account anyway, because you might end up having some epiphany about the way you've been teaching. You think, oh, I might just do this, and it might be one of the best things that happens for the way you teach or whatever.
Yeah.
It might not, but it might. So you know.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Anyway, I'm getting really cold for some reason. I don't know why, but this room is really cold.
Oh man up. Or a jacket next time, you pussy.
Oh, here we go. Ego's coming out now. All right. Anyway, guys, I think we'll leave it at that for today. We've gone through quite a lot of stuff. Hopefully, it has sort of explained.
Hopefully, it's not too drony.
Well, hopefully it hasn't been sort of off on too much of a tangent.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have been quite close to the point at least, and you know, expanding on why we do particular things, why we say particular things. Don't be afraid to write stuff in the comments, in the comment section, and you know, just to again challenge our sort of thoughts.
Yeah,
and
ask
our
us,
knowledge.
ask us questions.
Yeah, ask us questions. You know, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You know, we'll try and help you out. We'll try and find out. You know, because that's what it's about as well. The martial arts community. It's all about helping each other develop.
That's good.
It's not about being insular in any way, shape or form. The more we share our knowledge, you know, the better
Oh, yeah.
everyone will get, really. if anything, the UFC is a testament to that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because there is no, like you said the other day, actually, there's no fighter anymore that is specialised in one particular thing. They have to train in everything.
Everyone's constantly evolving.
Yeah, they have to train in all of it.
That is the way of martial arts.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Developing and evolving as you learn. That's all it is. And it takes a long time.
Yeah,
but it's worth it.
That's it. So, thank you guys for watching. We will see you again soon, I'm sure of that, hopefully with another video similar to this one, maybe explaining self-defense, maybe self-defense guard, for example. Probably another thing that I question myself on quite a lot is self-defense guard.
Good question yourself.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll see you again soon, I'm sure. Stay safe and take care. Ta-ta.